It is already week 6, and welcome to the Gadsden Times Kickoff Show. I'm Teddy Couch. This is Kevin Taylor, and we have a lot of teams back in region play besides Etowah this week.
Sure do, Teddy. We got a number of teams back in region play, and the race to the postseason begins this week.
Right.
Really, in earnest, it begins this week. Coosa Christian is back on the road. They go to Falkville. Etowah is hosting Pell City. That's a non-region game. Gadsden City is back in region action against James Clemens. Gadsden is at home against Cleveland. Glencoe's at Pleasant Valley. Hoax Bluff is hosting Asheville. Sardis is at Alexandria. Southside's at Douglas. Westbrook's at Ranburne. And West End is at Ohatchee. Some of the outlying areas that will be having games Friday night: Albertville's at Hazel Green, Boaz hosts Crossville, Cedar Bluff hosts North Sand Mountain, Piedmont is at home against Sax, Sax being number 1 in Class 3A. Fife, number 2 in 2A, is at home against Sandrock, and Cherokee County is at home against Aniata. Some big games in region action in the area, but I'm looking at some of these outside the area, and those really intrigue me, Teddy. One of them being Piedmont versus Sax. Piedmont, one of the top 5 teams in Class 3A. Sax number 1. And then you've got, Fife hosting Sandrock. Sandrock just, this has been probably one of the worst teams that Sandrock's had in quite some time, hosting, and they're going to play. They're going to host Fife, number 2 in 2A. One game that really stands out to me, Teddy, though, is Cherokee County versus Aniana. That one outside of our area, I think that's going to be a key region game. Aniana comes in 4-1, Cherokee County 2-3, and Cherokee County comes in having lost to Weaver, and then Aniana's big win over Susan Moore. So, that one right there, I'm going to have to go with the Redskins on that one.
Same here. I mean, they've had the hot hand. Their only loss is to Hoax Bluff. We know how good they are, so I went with the Redskins in that one as well. That's kind of a big game for Cherokee County. If they can get that win, I know they still have Hoax Bluff coming up. Yep. That'd be a big win region-wise and for playoffs for them.
Absolutely. That could determine who gets maybe, say, a 3 or even a 4 spot in that region. Within the area, one game that I'm looking at that maybe not so many people are looking at and may not be studying too closely, Gadsden City versus James Clemens. Gadsden City had a week off last week, and so did Clemens, by the way. Gadsden City comes in 0-5, and if they're going to make that push to get to the playoffs, they got to start this Friday, and they've got to beat Clemens, and then they've got to win out.
Yeah, they need to help themselves as much as possible. James Clemens is one of 2 teams in that Region 4 that is undefeated, Austin being the other. They have a quarterback in Jamil Muhammad. He's a quarterback committed to Vanderbilt, and I think they have a guy on the defensive line committed to Vanderbilt as well. So,
wow.
Muhammad, he's able to move the ball, with his feet and with his arms, so he's going to be a tough stop for Gadsden City.
It's kind of interesting to see how many guys from Northeast Alabama are committed to Vanderbilt. It seems like, it's kind of a shift to Vandy.
Yeah.
But and getting quality talent too, by the way.
You got Justin Harris over to Etowah, and I don't know, let's say Mountain Brook running back J.R. Transreno. He's another back committed to Vanderbilt as well. So they're really making a push into Alabama for sure.
They really are. Clemens comes in 3-2. They've won their last 3. They started off the season 0-2, and they've rolled off 3 straight. 2 weeks ago they beat Florence 47-33. Until Gadsden City can kind of get that offensive line situated, and their defense is still a little bit suspect, I've got to go with Clemens on this one.
Gadsden City's only scored 55 points through their 5 games. That's just not going to get it done. I mean,
not
last
7A.
Last week, I want to say they scored 7, but that came off of a fumble return for a touchdown. The defense is making plays, held they held them 2 weeks ago to 12 points in their loss. But this James Clement team just seems like they just have more firepower on offense. I got to go with the Jets as well.
Another team that will be at home this week, Etowah versus Pell City in a non-region game. Etowah 6-0, ranked number 2 now in Class 5A, and getting more traction as far as from the Alabama sports writers. They got, I think, 6 first-place votes this past week. And like I said, they moved into the number 2 slot, back to the number 2 slot, which they held primarily for much of the season. They get Pell City, who has coming in having lost their last 3 games. They were off last week as well, but 2 weeks ago they lost to Huffman 28-14. You know, I'd have to go with the Blue Devils. I don't, you know, on paper this should be a blowout. However, Etowah with their win over Fort Payne last week, 21-14, there were some missteps there that really had me on alert. But I still think Etowah comes away with a win. But again, it may be a very close game. I say Etowah wins 24-14.
Yeah, I think Etowah wins this one. I'm going to go with Etowah pretty big in this. But keep in mind, Pell City's, like you said, come off a bye week, 3rd straight opponent for Etowah, where they have a bye week coming into it. But, you know, Etowah's got 2 very winnable games in Pell City, and then next week against Douglas, and that's huge before they play Alexandria and Boaz. Those are going to be 2 key matchups for them, but I have Etowah winning big.
And I don't foresee Etowah looking ahead anytime soon.
No, not at all.
Another game, Gadsden is hosting Cleveland. Gadsden 0-5. Cleveland 2-3, and Cleveland also have lost their last 3 games. They lost last week to J.B. Pennington 31-28, and Gadsden got shut out by Pleasant Valley 47-0. I'm going to have to go with Cleveland. You know, until Gadsden can win a game, I may have to keep going with their opponents.
And Gadsden's 0-5, but keep in mind they're only 0-2 in the region. So, I mean, things are still up to grab for the Bulldogs, you know, for their taking. They just got to take care of business. One problem for them has been injuries. Quarterback Josh Campbell's been out with an elbow problem, and he will not play this Friday night. Running back Cameron Hawkins has an ankle issue. I think he sprained his ankle. He's kind of week to week, not really sure if he's playing Friday. I know Coach Swain Morris definitely wants him out in the field. But, I mean, I'm kind of with you. I have to go with Cleveland in this one. I know they got a lot of speed, and I think it's going to be tough for Gadsden to stop them.
And when you talk about injuries hitting a 2A team, that hurts.
It's not just, you know, at quarterback and running back for them. These kids play both sides of the ball.
Exactly.
So you're having to shift so many things around to get, you know, pieces to work. So you might have, just because you have those 2 guys out, you may have many guys out of position just to get places filled up. So it's tough.
Let's see. Also locally, Glencoe 0-5 versus Pleasant Valley. Pleasant Valley comes in 2-3. Glencoe lost last week 47-7. They've dropped to 0-5. You know, if you look at the series, Glencoe is out ahead overwhelmingly 7-3-0. But I've still got to give this game to Pleasant Valley. Glencoe's offense is just struggling mightily.
Yeah, I got to go Pleasant Valley here. I know Glencoe struggled so far, you know, and not really unsurprising in this so far. They're rebuilding them. You know, they're trying to fix things up for the future. But I got Pleasant Valley winning this one.
Hoax Bluff, as we mentioned, number 2 in 4A. They host Asheville 1-4. Last week, as just mentioned, Glencoe beat or lost to Hoax Bluff 47-7. Asheville was off last week, but they lost to Aniana the week before, 39-14. I just look for Hoax Bluff and Darien Meads and that bunch to just keep rolling, and I'd say they're going to be 6-0 with probably a 24-point win Friday night.
I think it's going to be another game where Darien Meads is not playing too much in the second half.
No.
I'll have Hoax Bluff winning pretty big as well.
Some of the other games that we just want to quickly point out, let's see. Southside's at Douglas. I'm going to have to go with the Panthers in that one, winning probably by a shutout, I would say. Yeah. Westbrook's at Ranburne. I really like the Warriors. I think you do too, Teddy. And then West End's at Ohatchee. Ohatchee is ranked in the top 5 in Class 2A. and I think they're going to come away with a pretty big win over West End. However, that could end up being a fun game because West End does know how to score, and so could we see maybe a 49-32 ball game? I don't know.
Yeah, I think Ohatchee's going to win that one big. You know, West End score still shocked me from last week, losing to Raglan 35-0. I did not see that one coming.
No, I didn't either.
You know, that Westbrook game's big, though. You know, Rambert's coming in and defeated in the region, and Westbrook can really, you know, possibly make a push to host the first round of the playoffs. If they can win that Rambert game, Rambert's 3-0 and Region 6 2A. So that one's an interesting game to me for sure.
Each time that I've seen Westbrook, though, is that they get better week to week, and the problems that they have are not things that can't be coached. And like I keep harping on that, 9 times out of 10, if you see a mistake by Westbrook, there is a coachable moment there. And so I look for Westbrook to really get back on track. And like I said, I think they're going to win going away.
Right. I think Westbrook wins this one, but I think it's going to be a little closer. I mean, I think Rambert keeps it close. I think Westbrook might have to come out and win it late, but I got the Warriors winning it.
Another area game, Sardis is at Alexandria. Sardis 2-3. Tough loss last week to Geraldine, 20-19. And then Alexandria is 3-2. They beat Cleveland County 56-25. The last time that these two teams played each other, 1937. Yes, even before I was around, Teddy.
Wow,
that's a long time ago.
I think that's most shocking. That was before you were around for sure.
Yeah.
You're a little up there. Sorry about that.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Anyway, this one's pretty interesting though. Sardis, I don't know if I can stress enough how much they need this win. I mean, obviously the Southside loss, that was such a heartbreaking loss for those guys. You know, a lot of them felt like they probably should have came out on top, just didn't take advantage of opportunities. Then obviously the Etowah game was a rough one for them. I think they totaled about 19 yards in that. Beat Douglas, then they lose to Geraldine last week in another tough one. And then you have to go to Alexandria. That's tough right there. I mean, if they can come out with this win, they're still can make a push to make the playoffs. But this win right here, I feel like it's a must-win.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This is a must-win game. However, I've got to go with the Valley Cubs. When they're at home, they're tough to beat, and so I'm going to give the nod to Alexandria. I'm
going to give the nod to Alexandria as well. I feel like Sardis can play well against them. Their defense is tough, and Alexandria, you know, I think they're going to run the ball a lot. It's no secret there, but I think Sardis can stick it to them there. But I got to go with the Valley Cubs to come out on top in a low-scoring game.
Another interesting out-of-area game to keep everybody needs to keep their eyes on is Cedar Bluff at North Sand Mountain. Cedar Bluff 5-0. They beat Galesville last week 55-0. North Sand Mountain 4-1. And the last time that they started a season this well was just a couple years ago. They started the season 6-1 in 2016. Last week they beat Sylvania 44-15. And usually Sylvania is a pretty tough team, and it didn't seem like North Sand Mountain had too hard of a time with them. This game, you know, this was one of our picks, and I was going kind of back and forth, but I've got to go with the Tigers. I like Cedar Bluff. I think they're playing really good football right now, so I look for Cedar Bluff to go 6-0. We're
agreeing way too much this week, but I picked the same as you. I went with Cedar Bluff as well to win that one, and in a close ball game more than likely.
Well, and don't forget to join us Friday nights, hopefully around 11 o'clock, if not sooner, where with the Gadsden Times football review, we'll be on Facebook Live, and you can jump on Facebook, and we'll go over all the scores and highlights from a number of games that we cover throughout the area, and maybe even touch on some of the top state games as well. Also, don't forget to go to thegadsdentimes.com. You'll see photographs, videos, preview stories, game stories, features, you name it, it's there. So if you're looking for information about high school football in this area, go to thegadsdentimes.com and check them out. Also, too, and just
different sport, but looking ahead a little bit, Saturday's the Etowah County Volleyball Tournament, and we plan on being there, taking photos, and
Absolutely.
having stories from it. So be on the lookout for that for you volleyball fans out there too.
Yep, they get started at 9 a.m. Saturday morning,
at
right?
Sardis High School. Yeah, they'll have 9 a.m. and it's the championship game is scheduled to start at 2 p.m. with an if game being at 3 p.m. So a fun day of volleyball at Sardis, and all 6 Etowah County school system schools, will be playing, so it should be a fun tournament for sure.
And if you got time, run out to Sardis and check them out. It doesn't cost but a few bucks, but at least show your support of these teams. They're playing hard and doing their best to. And right now, believe it or not, it's getting close to playoff time for the volleyball team. So they're making that turn and getting fine-tuned right before they get into regional play, and who knows, maybe we'll see a few of our local teams make it to state.
This tournament will have nothing to do with regional play, area play, and all that, but at the same time, county championship is
bragging rights,
it's
baby.
just so important to these girls,
Yeah.
And the boys, and depending on the sport, it doesn't matter what the sport is. When you have a county championship, that's something that they want. Just like Kevin said, bragging rights is on the line, and it's just something you can just talk about and remember the rest of your rest of your lives. This county championship, it means a lot to people around here.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll be there. Teddy and I both will be there Saturday, and we'll be covering the majority of the tournament. So be sure to go to the GadsdenTimes.com and check out the photo gallery, game stories, and whatnot. And then, like I said, be sure to join us Friday night around 11 o'clock. We'll be on live, and we hope you join us. If you have any questions or anything in regards to the games that we've seen, or even any of the games around the state, feel free to chime in, and we'll try to do our best to answer those questions. As for this week, like I said, this now begins the sprint, folks. This is the time where everybody starts to jockey for position for the playoffs, and it starts this Friday. I'm excited. I hope you are.
Yeah, speaking of that sprint, Coosa, I don't know if we went over them, but their game against Falkville, they have a good shot. If they can upset Falkville, they're not only making the playoffs, but possibly hosting the first round. I mean,
Absolutely.
I know it's looking ahead a little bit, but if they want to host the first round, this game against Falkville is a huge one.
Falkville comes in 6-0, Coosa 3-2. They beat Victory Christian last week 10-7. Falkville beat Priceville 48-28 to go to 6-0. This is the first time these two teams have met, and of course this is a region match for them. I have to go with Falkville in this one. I'd like to go with Coosa, but Falkville really seems to be playing some really good football right now.
Falkville coming down from 2A, this season, and they played extremely well in 2A last year.
Yeah.
I got Falkville coming out on top of this one, but Coosa, they got themselves in good position already. Obviously, they got to keep playing strong, and obviously they would like to come out on top in this one, but if they keep taking care of business like they have been, they should be in the playoffs by the time the regular season comes to an end.
Well, I think we've taken care of business on our end for this Wednesday, folks, and we greatly appreciate your time. Again, our time is out, and we thank you for yours.